That's right. It's about time. Nebon at the 103.5 FM this evening. It's time for the ombudsmanship. It's time for us to cause social change in our streets, to cause social change in our environment, in our society today. It's time to achieve social justice. In America, President-elect Donald Trump appointed Elon Musk to oversee, Dodge, a government organization that will ensure efficiency in governance. You know, so now because of that, this organization is also supposed to cut government excesses. And this is a future all Americans look forward to, whether they are Democrats or Republicans. They are all looking forward to this future, the this thing going down, this Dodge, organization. And if you look at it properly, this is exactly what we are looking for in Africa when, we talk about to cut the cost of governance. So why can't we Africans have such a thing too? A ministry that just oversees about, cutting the cost of governance. It boils down to what Davido is saying over this week, the fact that he discouraged, African Americans from moving to Nigeria, telling them that the economy is in shambles. A lot of things he said, to demarket Nigeria in the ears of, African Americans. But bringing it back to America, this is the future they are all looking forward to. And that's where El Davido is, why he's making those statements about, Nigeria, Africa. But I think that what led to all of that is lack of knowledge. Lack of knowledge will lead to people like Davido, coming out openly to tell American or Black Americans or African Americans, whichever one they choose to be called, on a very good day, that wants to come back to Africa, most especially people who want to come back to Nigeria, never to do so. There's a reason. It is because there's this particular knowledge, that our people lack, and that we must talk about it, and that is the knowledge of the person of Marcus Garvey. Good evening. This is how I welcome you to this awesome, wonderful, spirit and knowledge filled edition of Street Report on Airborne at the 103.5 FM. I am the one and only Martin Ifan Shuku AKZ as I number the force, the one that I call Metal. Yes, there's a reason why Burna Boy said in an interview with Beat Music, in that particular interview, Burna Boy made a statement and said that Afrobeat have no substance, and that is not the Afrobeat that fella, invented. The Afrobeat that fella Anikola Pukuti, invented on a very good day. So, talking about Afrobeat, when you think of Afrobeat, when it comes to Fela himself, you know that you are talking about, sensitizing the public, going all out to say the truth, without, fear or favor at the end of the day. So you see that we're talking about somebody who, impacted the society so much. And that is why, one of the greatest reggae and raga, or dancehall musicians we have seen in our lifetime, Buju Banton, endorsed Fela as the greatest musician to come out of Africa. Why did he say that? Because he knows that it is difficult for an African musician to come out, in Fela's situation and begin to impact the society the way. Because there are consequences to all of this. The fact that you can speak, openly and all of that, there are consequences to it. So the problem with I think most people have with Davido is All this while, you know about these things that you're talking about, the economy being in shambles and you know all of these things. He talked about, you know, the leadership in Nigeria, that we have a very poor leadership and all of that. We don't have the best people handling the government, you know, and that's why he said what he said. But all this while, my question is, how many songs have you made to mold people's opinion? Because yes, we are here now on Street Report to mold opinion, you know, and it is the job of the journalist to do so. It is also the job of the musician to mold the right opinion for the society. So how many songs can we count now that Davido used in molding the opinion of the society about, you know, governance in Africa and the way it is going now? All of that. Can we compare Davido with Fela? You know, on a very good day. Those are the things. There is a reason why Buju Banton looked at the whole Afrobeat stuff. The fact that, okay, yes, Afrobeat is selling all over the world and all of that. He looked at it and he called it what it is. He said it is nothing. It has no substance, nothing to teach the people. And, you know, yes, one of the problems he pointed out is, yes, if you want to make money. But what legacy are you leaving behind? You know, so that's why Afrobeat is just there, because no musician is ready to address the situation, to talk about, you know, what is happening in our society at the end of the day. And that is why Buju Banton wrote them off. He said, yes, you've been working so hard to get to this level that, you know, globally everybody is now looking at you. What are you going to tell them? That's the question he asked them. So it is a discovery even for Davido too. You know, the failure of the African musician, what the African musician have failed to do. You know what? You know, he Buju Banton talking about the situation. We always say yes. We they in Jamaica we even use their music to elevate Africans. You know, and you now as an African, you have the opportunity to educate the people. How are you using your music to elevate your own people? That's the question. I think he didn't understand where, you know, the African American people are coming from. You know, before telling them no, do not go back to Africa and all of that. You know, don't go to Nigeria. Go where? That's what he asked the person that asked him the question. You shouldn't go there. The economy is in shambles and all of that. They are not coming here because of our economy. That's one thing you should understand. They are coming here to elevate the economy. That's why they are asking you the question, because some of them who still have the message of Marcus Garvey in their heart understands that Marcus Garvey made it, you know, clear in his vision. He made it clear, you know, that Nigeria is the hope of the black man. That's what he said. In the days when, you know, he brought about what we call the Black Star Liner, you know, a particular ship corporation that he established for the black people, and black people all over the world bought shares in that Black Star Liner just to have a business that, you know, black people can say yes, this is our own business, and they are trying to build it at the end of the day. But, you know, black man being black man, at the end of the day, a lot of people betrayed him, a lot of people sold him out. And that's why Buju Banton will also spell it out and tell you, yes, look at what happened to this man. That every other black leader that came after him was not saying anything much anymore, because that's just his vision, you know, and they didn't appreciate him. They thought he wasn't good enough to lead them, you know, a lot of things that was said as he's working hard to fix the situation. A lot of people are sabotaging his efforts. A lot of things that happened then, you know, at the end of the day, he was deported from America back to Jamaica where he came from, and he was disrespect all the way for somebody who had a vision of what black people must do to be elevated. Well, this and more will be the cause of our discussion on this particular edition of Street Report on EBEONADI 103.5 FM. I want Luciano to, educate you a little bit about Marcus Garvey, the black man government, before we come back to Davido and his comment. So we'll understand where he's coming from. And you will see at the end that the statement was made out of, even if you want to criticize the Nigerian government or you want to criticize Nigeria at the end of the day, I don't think you should discourage people about coming to Nigeria. That's just the thing. But anyway, stick around with this one. It is coming from Luciano, educating you a little bit about Marcus Garvey. Take a listen, and I'll be back. Oh, where is the black man government? Marcus Garvey, a black man, prophesying. Where is the black man government? Where is the black man government? Where is the black man president? Where is the country? This party, the I am a visionary. I am determined to reach my destiny, and I was rocking the foundation of the human nation, the origin of civilization. There's no doubt or any question. The honest things I know, the season of the Almighty, to rebuild the marvelous and restore our identity. I started the black star liner, steady me, the children of the Father. The black star liner, it's not about race, it's the blackness we prefer. The black star liner, steady me, the children of the Father. The black star liner, it's not about race, it's the blackness we prefer. We no long living in a Babylon. I've been hated by the evil one. Seems that they don't really care about the human race. They keep on fighting, trying to keep us down. After all we've been through, there's still no reparation. We seek repatriation. Africa for the African. It's left to me and you to fulfill that divine position. So I'll be my way. Let's try out the Babylon. I shall save mine, a black star liner. Save these are the children of the Father. Save mine, a black star liner. Boom, boom. Save mine, a black star liner. Save these are the children of the Father. Save mine, a black star liner. Hey. The use of that in front of all to danger. No one knows when there will be relief and safety. Out of slavery we have come with death and sorrow. We the people are strangers living in a strange land. Where is the black man's government? Where is the black man's kingdom? Where is his president, his country, and his ambassador? My young ambitious mind, searching to find my roots. I am determined to reach my destiny. I can set my a black star liner, Saving we are the children of the Father. Save mine, a black star liner. Reflecting the manner, so save mine, a black star liner. Saving we are the children of the Father. Save mine, a black star liner. Yes, it is what it is. And the question remains, where is the black man government, So the one we have, Davido said, yes, our leaders are not doing so well. Yes, yeah, we all know that as a fact. But that is not going to stop African Americans from, coming to Nigeria in the first place. Yeah, they should come to Nigeria if they need to in the first place. And it's not just about if they need to, because according to the vision of Marcus Garvey himself, black people all over the world must replenish Africa. It is part of his agenda for the Negro organization that he formed back in the days when Marcus Garvey began to talk about going back to Africa and all of that. A lot of people returned back to Africa. There are families that returned to Sierra Leone, to Liberia, at the end of the day, just because of those messages that Marcus Garvey gave about going back to Africa. And talking about Africa for Africans, and this is how I welcome you back to Street Report on Ebona, the 103.5 FM. I remain the one and only Martin Ifeanyi Shuku AKZ as a number the first, the one that I call Metal. Before I go any further, let me, educate a little bit about what Davido said, and how the outcome of everything he said. Davido faces backlash over comments on African Americans moving to Nigeria. Nigerian-born singer and music producer Davido, aka David Adeleke, Adeleke, is facing social media backlash after sharing his controversial take on African Americans immigrating to Africa. The singer, currently residing in the United States, took to social media platform X and shared there are calls to have his shows cancelled after he discouraged Americans from moving to Nigeria and the continent. Them say then go cancel my show because of my interview. Oh, low, I don't have to perform in Nigeria, said Davido in the interview with Big Homie on the Jojo and the Big Homie show on 96 Top 1. Big Homie asked Davido what he thinks about people trying to leave America. Davido responded, leave America and go where? Let's be honest, go back where? It's not cool back home. My country now, the economy is in shambles. He added, I do my part. I am an ambassador. When I go home and I'm filming, I'm not going to show the bad parts. I go to the trenches. I film in the trenches. But talking about the situation in the country, Davido highlighted that a lot of stuff is not going well in the country and the exchange rate is messed up. The economy is just not good anymore. The oil prices are too high. And imagine a country that produces oil and we pay more money for oil than a country that's importing the oil. So it's stuff like that. But regardless, entertainment is one of the things that made Africa look good. We do not have the best leaders. That's fact, he said. Commenting, he continued and he said, okay, somebody commented and said, I know you didn't mean any harm. I understand that you may not have considered Nigeria's economy at that time, but I kindly ask that in future you take the country's welfare into account before responding. A more strategic approach could be made, significantly, or could make a significant difference. Yes, a lot of African Americans wasn't happy about what even the fact that he's looking out for them and telling them the economy is in shambles a lot, but yet they are still not feeling him for saying that in the first place. They know, yes, that Africa is not all that juicy and all good and all, but they still want to come. Their fathers left in a ship in the days in the transatlantic slave movement. They left in a ship. They know they came from somewhere. they would like to see that place, no matter how you think that bad that place is. That's the sense. That's the way they are looking at it. Now, based on what he said, another user said a government that demarcates its country more than its rivals and want to gag a citizen for speaking out on the state of affairs. Wonders shall never end. So some people are also in support of, okay, yes, what he's saying. But even with all of that, everything that Davido is saying, we need to understand the message of Marcus Garvey. There is a reason why, all of a sudden, when immediately Buju Banton held that particular interview where he, wrote off all African artists, like even most especially the Afrobeat artists that were so, happy that these ones, they are doing so good now world over. Buju Banton said these things are nothing. And he said one thing. He said this will show you that reggae and dancehall still remains the king of music because it is always there to speak the truth, no matter what. No matter what will may come. Yes, he is saying Davido is saying all of this today, but how many songs can he show the world now and say, yes, I use this song to criticize this and that is going on in Nigeria? None. There is no song you will show me that he criticized anything that is going on, or he tried molding opinion about the situation. All they gave us is sweets, you know, dance, jaye jaye, throw away money, and all. That's what we hear from the Afrobeat, we know. And that's why Buju Banton said that these things are nothing. They don't have any substance in them. So when I say knowledge, I'm talking about the knowledge that when you're talking about that particular knowledge now, a lot of Africans are looking at you like, what are you doing? You begin to talk about, Timbuktu now. A lot of them will look at you. What are you trying to do now? There are some things you begin to discuss about Africa now. A lot of people don't even want to listen to you. Why are you going that back so far like that? That's what they are looking at. Now, Cat Williams said something that is very important. Cat Williams said something. He said that, black people have forgotten who they are, where they are coming from on a very good day. But their captors, the people who captured them, which is for him, the white man, still knows who the black man is, but the black man does not know who he is anymore. No history, no nothing, He can't go back and talk about so nothing, no documentation about who the black man is. But the white man knows who the black man is. That's what he's saying. Yes, remember that you are tuned to Ebona at the 103.5 FM, and this is Street Report. You can become part of the conversation when you send SMS or WhatsApp messages on 080-6579-6599. When you want to come in there, like when you get involved in what we're talking about this evening, you can become part of it when you call 08138397740 or 08139256742. But I'll just keep going because I need to inform you about who Marcus Garvey is and why it is. Like why Buju Banton will still say that Marcus Garvey is the only black leader that understands, that have a blueprint of what the black man must do to emancipate himself at the end. Let me tell you a little bit about Marcus Garvey. Marcus Garvey, Marcus Mosiah. Garvey Jr., he was born 17 August 1887 and, died 10th June 1940. He was a Jamaican political activist. He was the founder and first president general of the Universal Negro Improvement Association and African Communities League, commonly known as UNIA, UNIA, through which he declared himself a provincial president of Africa. Garvey was ideologically a black nationalist and pan-Africanist. His ideas came to be known as Garveyism. Garvey was born into a moderately prosperous Afro-Jamaican family in St. Anne's Bay and was apprenticed into the print trade as a teenager. Working in Kingston, he got involved in trade unionism before living briefly in Costa Rica, Panama, and England. On returning to Jamaica, he founded the UNIA in 1914 and 1916. I want to point out something about Marcus Garvey. Marcus Garvey influenced, Pan-Africanism so much that we don't even know that his movement also influenced, the likes of Nnamdi Azikiwe, the likes, all those people. They got, a bit of Marcus Garvey in them. Now, believing that black people needed to be financially independent from white-dominated societies, Garvey launched various businesses in the U.S., including the Negro Factories Corporation and Negro World newspaper. In 1919, he became president of the Black Star Line Shipping and Passengers Company, designed to forge a link between North America and Africa and facilitate African American migration to Liberia. Some people left with that ship back to Liberia as early as that, in 1923. In 1923, Garvey was convicted of mail fraud for selling the company stock, and he was imprisoned in the United States Penitentiary, Atlanta, for nearly 2 years. Many commentators have argued that the trial was politically motivated, at the end, just to bring him down, to stop him from what he's doing. But one thing is for sure, Garvey was a controversial figure. Some in African diasporic community regarded him as a pretentious demagogue, and were highly critical of his collaboration with white supremacists, his violent rhetoric, and his prejudice against mixed race people and Jews. He received praise for encouraging a sense of pride and self-worth among Africans and African diaspora and widespread poverty, discrimination, colonialism in Jamaica. He also recognized as a national hero, being the first to be recognized as such. His idea, asserted a considerable influence on such movements as Rastafari and the Nation of Islam and the Black Power movement. So he influenced a lot of things, even the Rastafarianism, even that Pan Africanism. The fact that, when if you look at NCNC, the way they accommodated even Cameroon and all of that, that's that mindset of Marcus Garvey, that all Africans will have to unite, to work together, to get out of poverty, to get out of all of these things that we complain as black people. But that cannot be achieved by the advice that Davido is giving to, black Americans, African Americans, that no, you shouldn't go. The economy is in shambles and all of that. If you think it is so, why don't you call in now and become part of the conversation? Call us on 081 38 39 7740 or 081 39 256742. Yotagon Katana Bana Bon Katande my friend. Okay, so because this one is too deep, that's what we do on Street Reports. We go deep and think about it, and not just about talking about it. Yes, he just criticized the government, but how many songs can Davido point to now and say, yes, I use this one to criticize the government to mold opinion? Let's hear from you this evening. What do you have to say? Hello.
Hello, good evening.
Yes, good evening, my brother. Your name and location, please.
Hello, good evening.
Yes, good evening. Your name and location, please. Can
Can
you
you
hear
hear
me?
me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me? Okay, please go on. Please. Okay, keep the calls coming. We lost him there. Network is a bit messy, but we'll keep it going. Call the number 081 or 081 39256742. Let's hear from you now. What do you have to say about all of this? Hello?
Hello, good evening.
Yes, good evening, my brother.
Yes, this is Patrick on the line, calling you from Oka.
Please go on, sir.
Okay, I've been listening to what you've been saying, and honestly, I do not see anything wrong with what they just said.
Okay.
But the guy himself is a billionaire
Mm.
from the family of billionaires.
Okay.
He had no reason saying that he was saying this for himself.
Mm.
No one probably speaking as a Nigerian, speaking from the perspective of a common Nigerian.
Okay.
And we all know that this is the truth for a fact.
Mm.
Now, for the American or the African Americans, if they ever declare that they're going to Africa, you will not track them down.
Yes. Mm.
They ask them a question and then you give them an honest answer.
Okay.
So
So,
it's
but
to be someone
irrespective, I'm coming. Irrespective of how, no matter how tough it is it good enough for us to discourage them from coming to Africa? From where, like, for them to even discover their ancestry, to discover where they are coming from? Is it good enough?
oh no, they are very free to do that. I'm not saying that in the person of the video, he answered from his personal perspective
Okay.
of what the situation. I think the topic that should be discussed is our leaders making this thing better. Because if it is better, the people will not say that.
Okay. Yes, I also pointed out the facts of Marcus Garvey and all of that. The reason why Americans began to even talk about, okay, they are going to cancel him and all of that. Not even Nigerians, so they Americans talking about, that's because of that message of Marcus Garvey. Most of them know about it. So don't you think that we should know about these things? And what I talked about, no substance in our music, the way Buju Banton criticized it. How come he's saying these things now? And all this while we can't point out a song that, okay, he used this one to influence these things. Don't you think?
Well, that is fine. If he's holding his choice,
Okay.
everyone has a theory and a pattern.
Okay.
Everybody must not be Fela.
Mm.
After what that Fela did when he was alive, and all those songs that all of those who are there and fine.
Mm.
If you want to make the economy better at that time, it did not.
Okay.
You don't need to leave that system then and change. It did not. So even if they didn't start singing all those songs tomorrow, trust me, it still will not change their mind. I'm just saying that the guys out there putting the record straight.
Okay.
Let us fall back and let's develop Africa for Africans.
Mm.
They go to America, they do all of that. Even the Macroskati group that is banning him and all of that.
Mm.
They got the best approach.
Okay.
Now what have they done to better the life of Africans in Africa?
Okay.
That's the question.
Okay. So, and that's the movement. That's that question. That's the same question that they asked him, and he discouraged them from coming in the first place. So that's the thing. So when you talk about, because when we are talking about economy now, we're not telling them that it is in shambles for them not to come. We are telling them to come around because it's in shambles in the first place, to help out in the situation. That's what he's supposed to be doing.
Let them come and help us.
Mm.
You know, I'm already told them how it is now. It
Okay.
is bad. So come with the intention of making it better.
Mm.
Come with the intention that there's job to do. They
Okay.
do not ban the guy, not ban the best person. It's not the solution.
Okay.
Banning him is not the solution.
Okay.
The
Thank
solution
you.
is this guy has said something is bad. Let's make it better.
Okay. Thank you so much for joining us this evening, my brother. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Yes, it is still Street Report on Ebon at the 103.5 FM. Massive discussion. We need to talk about it. What do you think about all of this? So keep the calls coming on 081 or 081 39256742. Let's hear from you now. What do you have to say about all of this? Hello.
Good evening, this evening.
Yes, good evening, my brother. How are you doing?
I'm cool, man.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm asking about from Ofaduze.
Please go on, sir.
Yeah. I concern the issue of what Davido did.
Mm.
Let's just put it this way. He like from here,
Mm.
he said something that looks very good because of we that live here in Nigeria.
Mm.
But the people that are living outside don't see us the way he said it so. Because they're supposed not to say this. I condemn what he said totally because of what that tonight on the way to we hope in all the outside capture their ancestral authority.
Mm.
The what we go you go this by kind of when they have a three on half of we are Nigerians.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how much the Africans are.
Okay.
So about what the way you get look at it that
The economy is
our
in shambles.
problems, you know. I think it's supposed. So the whole government would have not carried you will use in the Pataha, then have a country in our land. I hope I say against where I get.
Mm.
And I don't know what they are going with that then. Or they put that in Nigeria where they can't, you know.
Mm.
That statement will know.
Mm.
Let's be clarified this way. It is a wrong statement, in fact.
Okay.
And it's also, it's like,
Hate speech of his of a sort, Abi. Okay, no problem.
that's what I want to say.
Okay.
Because for him to say that,
Mm.
and this thing he said this in Nigeria, everybody will say that it's a video did right.
Mm.
But now he said it in the developed world, which I'm not saying possible. So
Okay.
what I'm saying is that when you have America at the home one,
Okay.
let's talk about something that is just comparable, you know.
Mm.
Of course, I want to know why they say the challenges here. Or the child high, all good. We are managing everything here. But
Yeah.
no more in our point of it. And I know one thing like our president is telling us, we will have a time where I hear no letter.
Mm.
I managed to make a big problem, but oh, what is the call?
No, the palm. Mm.
So, we don't we can put that over here to or they suppose. So that's what I want to say now. I will come back.
Thank you so much for joining us this evening, my brother. Thank you so much. Yes, it is still Street Report on Ebon at the 103.5 FM. So there is a reason why they began to talk about, they will cancel his show, they will cancel him completely because they know, about the message of Marcus Garvey. They believe it deep in their hearts. That's the thing. If you're talking about, Nigeria not having it all good, yes, Jamaica is also, a third world country, but yet they tried their possible best to use their music to uplift the spirit of Africans with their song. They uplift Africa all the way. But how come, the African musician cannot, uplift Africa just that same way that the Jamaican artist is, uplifting Africa with their resources, even as a third world country? Yes, keep the calls coming. Let's talk about it this evening. The numbers once again remain 081 or 081 39 2742. What do you think of this? Is it right for him, Davido, to tell African Americans that okay, you don't have to come back to Africa, you don't have to come back to Nigeria because the economic is in shambles and all of that. A lot of things that he said. Yes, we know we have bad leaders all over the world. The world knows, not just we. The world knows that we don't have, leaders are not, performing enough on a very good day. But discouraging them not to come to Nigeria, is that good enough? Let me continue to tell you about how much Marcus Garvey, tried to uplift the spirit of Africans. He said you might also bring up Garvey's insistence that African Americans should see God, Jesus, and Mary as black. What is Garvey trying to do here? Why not throw out the religion of Christianity, which was used as a rationale for keeping slaves and viewing blacks as inferior people, and form a new religion that could communicate the hopes and desires of people of African descent? Why not do as the letter group, the Nation of Islam, and remove all white influence? You might talk about Christianity itself, how blacks identified with so many of the stories of the Bible, the people of Israel, the suffering of Jesus, and how African Americans' understanding of Christianity in many ways may already have been black. You might also talk about the role religion plays in the group, such as GARVEY's Why is a religion so important here? Why does it play any role at all? Why couldn't GARVEY simply preach black nationalism in economic, political, and social terms? What does a religion expression do for people in an organization like that UNIA? So UNIA is the Universal Negro Improvement Association, you know. So it still boils down to it's not just about individual wealth. Yes, he's a billionaire and all of that. Africa needs to develop. We need to get better as a people. And it's not just even about because when we talk about Fela, yes, he criticized the government, but at the same time, he also criticized the people. He criticized the people in the sense that he talked about the fact that the people cannot stick up for themselves, they can't stand up and and speak for what they believe in, where he will always say, I know one die, I know one meme, I know, he explained all of that. And that is, the approach that the musician in Africa took. The approach of, I know one die, I know one talk, just the way, Sound Sultan explained it by, what the song he made about, 2010. He called it 2010 don't go, and then he said stuff like that he's scared of these government people. Me, I'm scared of these government people. He wasn't ready to speak out completely the way Buju Banton is expecting them to do so, because he believes that they, speak out for Africa more than Africa. You should see even when Bobby Wine was contesting for Uganda presidency, he invited Buju Banton, made songs with Buju Banton. Buju Banton left was with the opposition that police was going after. A lot of people was going after him. He was with the opposition in Uganda, made a song with him just to encourage Africans. That's how much they develop Africa. And whenever they like, some of them will always follow the footsteps of somebody like Bob Marley. That when he made the song Zimbabwe, in encouraging Zimbabwe to actualize their independence. When they are now actualize their independence, he went there to perform for free, just to encourage. So if you look at it, you see that even Jamaican musicians have done more for Africa than African musicians have done for Africa. But when you talk about African musicians, you don't just put it to the old ones. I'm talking about the contemporaries ones, the ones who are now making it, like the ones who are the big acts in African music today. How much have they, tried to mold opinion, to mold it the right way, to say, okay, yes, we mold this opinion on this issue, that issue, and all of that. Listen to all of the songs. He's just talking about maybe sex, he's talking about money, he's talking about drinks, and that's all. So it is not something that will just take all the blame and just put it on the government and the leaders, yes, and all of that. We are all leaders in one way or the other. How much are we doing to fix our country as a people? That's the thing. You know, I want to just bring this song on board as we contemplate on some of these things. I want to bring this one. It's coming from King Sonny, Sonny Okosun, King of Ozibigi. Ozibi. This kind of song that you're about to listen to now, how many Nigerian musicians are making this kind of songs now? Take a listen and we'll be right back.
Without Jai Kama, without Jai Kama, without Jai Kama, without Jai Kama. Africa is now or never. Well, we need to lose it forever. Africa is now or never. Without our winning and teaching for good. Nigeria is now or never. You will not love it or lose it forever. Nigeria is now or never. Without our love it and teaching for good. Freedom is now or never. We are now winning or lose it forever. Freedom is now or never. Without our winning and teaching for good. Let me end. Take out it. Jai Kama, take out it. Jai Kama, take out it. Jai Kama, Jai Kama, Jai Kama, Jai Kama. Africa is the whole. You will win it or lose it forever. Africa is now or never. Without a win it and lose it from. Nigeria is now or never. You will love it or leave it forever. Nigeria is now or never. Without a love it and leave it from. Freedom is now or never. Yes, I win it or lose it forever. Freedom is now or never. Because I win it and lose it forever. And there's the devil. I come a one and I say it can. And there's the devil. And there's one and I say it can. The devil.
And the Ozzy the simple, the Ozzy Marcus Garvey's, black people, is that since the white man can see God as white, that the black man can also see God as black. That is in the 1924 the convention to canonize Jesus Christ as a black man of sorrows and Virgin Mary as a black Madonna. Garvey used that image as an inspiration to succeed in this life. For African Americans needed to worship a God that understood their plight, understand their suffering, and would help them overcome their present state. So Garvey was not promoting, heaven, life after death that is going to be all beautiful. He believes yes, like life after death is there. He wants it, for the black man, but at the same time, he's talking about life after in this lifetime that the black man makes his life better now. So as Davido is talking about, the cost of wealth, the cost of high cost of living and everything that is happening in Nigeria, the black man needs to make it better today, in this life as we live now. So no matter what, at the end, Gavi's message of black nationalism and a free black Africa met considerable resistance from other African American leaders, W.E.B. Du Bois and James Weldon Johnson of the NAACP, and Chandler Owen and a Philip Randolph of the publication Messenger. At the end of the day, you see that one of the problems a black man is the fact that we don't get to listen to each other or trying to work out plans. We always look at each other, as inferiors. At the end of the day, we always look at each other that no, we don't deserve to, have that life that we are looking at for as Africans. Yeah, that is okay. We are just looking at it from the individual basis. Okay, if I can't be okay on my own, then to hell with others. That's the way it is. So this is how I welcome you back to Street Report on Ebona, the 103.5 FM. So the knowledge we are looking at today is that knowledge that a lot of people will look at with scorn. Yes, what is this? That particular knowledge, when we're talking about it, a lot of people will not pay attention to what we are talking about, because that's one thing we overlook. But yet we'll go back and then begin to complain about how our life is and all of that, without knowing that we are supposed to engage these people. They are supposed to be part of what is going on in Africa, because they are Africans too, and their identity as Africans, it should not be removed. Yes, the other day I saw, somebody like Money Mayweather, going out there to support Israel in what Israel is going on. I'm not against it, but how much is he also engaging Africans? At the end of the day, so these kind of statements coming from Davido, people like this who are supposed to, who are, magnets, who can, better lives, if they should step down here with this kind of message, how would such a person come down here to become part of what is going on, to become part of the solution at the end of the day? Is it wrong if these people could become part of the solution? So at the end, what Davido failed to understand is that black people in America and everywhere else in the world knows that this is their responsibility to come back to Africa. They know, that message of Marcus Garvey is right back in their heart. It is there. It is itching. They know. So they just keep asking questions, to see, but they know they will become part of what is going on in Africa. So if they don't come back to Africa, where are they going to go to at the end? But it is still our responsibility as a people to queue in, for us to begin to also work out our own salvation. It's not like we are going to wait for them and say, okay, till they get here before we get better. We as a people can work on ourselves as well. That's what I'm saying. And with that said, we've gotten to the spot where we'll call it a day on this particular edition of Street Report on Ebona at the 103.5 FM. One of the major reasons why we make like this program comes your way on Ebona at the 103.5 FM is to mold opinion, to mold the right opinion, and that opinion we have molded today. Till we meet again, I remain Martin Ifan Shuku AKZ as a number the first, the one that I call Metal. Just stick with Ebona at the 103.5 FM. A lot is coming your way on this platform. Once it's 6 o'clock this evening, the news is coming your way. And stick with Ebona. A lot, a lot of packages is coming your way. Have a wonderful weekend and have a thought, towards all that we talked about today. Shalom. That's why.